Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Walz kicked off their bus tour in Pennsylvania. They started their tour in Rochester, where they'll be going city to city in Pennsylvania, and they're going to also be helping with phone banking. They were greeted with a hero's welcome when they arrived in Rochester. Let me just show you, though, the speech that Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Walz gave in Rochester, where they utterly shredded Donald Trump. Some really good stuff here. First, let me show you Governor Walz, who's just very, very good at this. Here, play this clip.
That's what people know. And some of us who have less hair and are old enough, can remember when you could go to Thanksgiving, watch a Steelers game with your relatives, and not complain about politics the whole time. Not be on each other's neck. Because you shared a commitment to democracy, a commitment to personal freedoms, a commitment to public education, a commitment to infrastructure. We don't call each other names. We don't do it. And we don't use the least fortunate amongst us as punchlines for our jokes because they're our neighbors. They're our neighbors. And so you're getting an opportunity to see the best side of America. And for the young people here, they maybe haven't seen a campaign like this because of COVID, because of things that's happening. This is a chance to bring out that joy, turn the page, and look to the future. This idea of going forward. So
next, here is Vice President Kamala Harris, and here she talks about the true meaning of strength. Play the clip.
Fight for it. And that's what this campaign is about. This campaign is about a recognition that, frankly, over the last several years, there's been this kind of perversion that has taken place, I think, which is to suggest that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, when what we know is the real and true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. Yeah. That's what we see as strength. We know what strength looks like. That's what strength looks like. Anybody who's about beating down other people is a coward. This is what strength looks like.
Here, Vice President Kamala Harris talks about how it's important that we kind of come together and focus on what brings us together, not what separates us. Here, play this clip.
So we know what we are about. We know what we stand for. And one of the beautiful things about these next 79 days is what the people in this room have already been doing and know. Let's build community. Let's reinforce community. You all as volunteers, what you know, and we're going to spread the word, is how you can look at the face of a perfect stranger and see in their face a neighbor. That we see in each other our connection, our interdependence, what we see in each other, which fortifies and reinforces that the vast majority of us have so much more in common than what separates us. That's what this campaign is about. Yes, it is about winning, and we will win. And we will win. And we will win. God willing. And through these next 79 days, we will continue to build community, build coalitions, and remind each other we are all in this together. So I thank you all so very much for what you are doing. Now let's get back to work, shall we?
Then Vice President Kamala Harris talks about it's so important just to have a foundation of knowing what it is that you stand for. Look, as I often say here on the MeidasTouch Network, one of the issues with MAGA amongst many is that they stand for nothing other than Trump, so therefore they fall for everything. It's so important to have principles and values and lead with that. Let me show you here, Vice President Kamala Harris. Let's play this clip.
All here, we love our country. And we know our country is going to be as strong as our willingness to fight for it and to fight for what we stand for. You know, when you know what you stand for, you know what to fight for. When you stand for working people, you fight for working people. When you stand for freedom, whether it be to make decisions about your own body or love who you love, you fight for those things. When you believe in ending child poverty, you fight for that. When you believe in what we need to do to lift up the middle class, you fight for the middle class. These are the things we stand for, and these, therefore, are the things we fight for. And
here, by the way, is Vice President Kamala Harris arriving, where she was actually helped out and actually did the phone banking herself. Play the clip.
How are you doing, Hannah? I have to tell you. I am well, and I'm so glad you've been able to take some time this Sunday to have a conversation with us. You know, this election, it's I think it's important for us to have, and I'm sorry that I'm participating. How are you doing? How are you?
Here she is right here actually doing some of the phone banking, and you can hear her talk to one of the voters and saying, hey, tell me about yourself. Here, play this clip here.
Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Tell me about you.
Hi, Denise. Jim Walz here. No, hey, thanks for taking the call.
Oh, great.
Appreciate it. We're here and just stopped in. We've got volunteers calling, trying to get out of the issues that we're on.
What issues are you thinking about working on?
We're trying to earn your support.
Now, while Vice President Kamala Harris is doing that, Donald Trump's been on a tear on social media, making post after post. Here, Donald Trump posted a collage of AI-generated Taylor Swift fans wearing Swifties for Trump t-shirts, and then Donald Trump wrote, I accept, as if it were real. As Peter Henline says, I mean, this is uniquely pathetic even for Trump. So Trump posting AI images, again, of fake Taylor Swift fans and claiming that they are endorsing him and then accepting their fake endorsements. I mean, you don't get more pathetic than that. By the way, remember last week when Donald Trump was saying anyone who uses AI should be disqualified because the creation of a fake image is election interference, when Donald Trump falsely claimed that Vice President Kamala Harris's huge crowd size were AI'd and that they weren't actually real people? As we say over and over again here on the MeidasTouch Network, everything with these MAGAs is projection and confession. And racism also. Here, Donald Trump posted this. I'm not going to show you all the other posts that he just made, but he's been posting. He just posted the following. It's a photograph of immigrants, and he goes, if you're a woman, you can either vote for Trump or wait until one of these monsters goes after you or your daughter. And here we're talking about Donald Trump, who was close friends with Jeffrey Epstein, and Donald Trump, who was found liable himself for sexual assault. Donald Trump, who said Jeffrey Epstein's a great guy who likes women on the younger side. By the way, Donald Trump also posted a video today with a rap song as Donald Trump was getting on Epstein's jet. That's what was going on today. An official Trump campaign video posting that. As Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Walz were having a very productive day phone banking and getting out the vote, Donald Trump had J.D. Vance go on Fox, where J.D. Vance claimed that all of the polling showing that he and Donald Trump are losing is fake and phony, and it's being done to drive down Republican turnout. Play this clip.
How does that not line up then with another poll we got out this morning? Washington Post, ABC, they're giving the vice president nationally a 4 to 5 point lead over. I mean, those are new numbers. So if you think the momentum is not swinging, or your internal polls are suggesting differently, every other poll that's been released has shown great momentum in her direction.
You know, Shannon, I think there are a lot of polls that actually show her stagnating and leveling off. Of course, ABC Washington Post was a wildly inaccurate pollster in the summer of 2020. And look, if you see the numbers that we're seeing and you actually talk to the American people, I feel extremely confident that we're going to be in the right place come November. We can't worry about polls. We have to run through the finish line and encourage everybody to get out there and vote. But our message is going to be very simple. If you want to get back to the peace and prosperity, the rising take-home pay, Donald Trump delivered it once and he can do it again. If you want to double down on the failed policies that have delivered higher food prices and higher housing prices, well, Kamala Harris has been vice president for 3.5 years, and I guarantee she's going to make the problem worse if the American people give her a promotion.
So
the thing we have to remember, one final point, let me just say one final point on this, Shannon, because I think it's important. Consistently, what you've seen in 2016 and 2020 is that the media uses fake polls to drive down Republican turnout and to create dissension and conflict with Republican voters. I'm telling you, every single person who's watching this, the Trump campaign is in a very, very good spot. We're going to win this race. We just have to run through the finish line.
Okay.
Here is more of J.D. Vance whining and claiming that all of the polls are incorrect. Play this clip.
I mean, our Fox News polling does show the economy is the number one issue and that people do give you all the edge on that. And yet, this is what we have out from some new polling out of the New York Times. They say Ms. Harris is now leading Mr. Trump among likely voters in Arizona 50-45 and is even edged ahead of Mr. Trump in North Carolina, a state Mr. Trump won 4 years ago, while narrowing his lead significantly in Georgia and Nevada. What is the administration doing, the campaign doing with that data as it comes in? I mean, these are critical states that you got to have a path to 270. Are there any pivots? Are there any, reconfiguring of what you're doing in the strategy? Because you talk about your message, but is it not landing?
Well, let me say two things about this, Shannon. First of all, the polls tend to radically overstate Democrats. We certainly saw that during the polling of summer of 2020 and summer of 2016. And of course, a lot of those polls were wrong when it came to Election Day. The second thing I'll say, Shannon, is what we have certainly seen is that Kamala Harris got a bit of a sugar high a couple of weeks ago. But what we've actually seen from our own internal data, Shannon, is that Kamala Harris has already leveled off. If you talk to insiders in the Kamala Harris campaign, they're very worried about where they are because the American people just don't buy the idea that Kamala Harris, who has been vice president for 3.5 years, is somehow going to tackle the inflation crisis in a way tomorrow that she hasn't for the past 1,300 days.
By the way, these were the same exact polls that Donald Trump was posting just weeks ago. And then here, J.D. Vance says that all of the economists are wrong when they say that Donald Trump plan to exact tariffs on things like gas and clothing would be inflationary. J.D. Vance says, just don't trust anything. Just listen to what Donald Trump says. Here, play this clip.
She also talked about the plans for tariffs, as you heard Senator Coons talk about. Other economists have said those tariffs, along with mass deportations that would impact the workforce, will also drive up prices for Americans.
Well, Shannon, I don't buy that argument.
I think Donna Brazile nailed it right here, guest on CNN, when she said, or she was actually on ABC this week. She used to be, I think, correspondent on CNN. Here she says, look, the American people just don't want this Trump crap anymore. They don't want someone who divides us. Here, play this clip.
Going to do anything
we
for the economy.
Trump. We know that every time he opens his mouth, there's nothing but lies, insults, and vulgarity. And people are tired of it. The American people don't want this anymore. They don't want a president who basically divides us. They don't want a president who calls us names, who
What
cannot
they
even
don't
pronounce
want-
the name of the vice president of the United States.
What they
It's
don't want-
Kamala Harris.
Okay.
Kamala.
What they don't
And here, just so you can see it, were the people in Rochester, Pennsylvania, who were greeting Vice President Kamala Harris when she arrived. And they were holding signs and chanting, "No more Trump." Play this clip.
No more Trump! 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 No more Trump!
Anyway, thanks for watching. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million subscribers together. Let's try to get there this month. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.